I've never had an orgasm. Was Mormon and married way too young. Knew nothing about sex. Wedding night was my first time. I've been married for about 15 years. If I didn't fake an orgasm, my husband would get upset. Like I was doing something wrong or I didn't find him attractive. I had to tell him how great he was in bed. It felt like it lasted forever and he would just keep going until I faked one. It was miserable. He wanted sex at least once a day, but usually I could only do it 3 times per week. He acted like I was depriving him if I wasn't in the mood. My idea was we should both be in the mood to have sex. He disagreed and would bother me incessantly until we had sex. He wasn't forceful, just annoying. My divorce will be final this month. I love having the bed to myself. I love that I have a bedroom to myself. I love waking up with one there and no expectation of sex every time we're in the bedroom together. I didn't divorce him over sex, it's because he's a controlling asshole. Him not touching me is the cherry on top. My mom said she wished I would have died instead of moving out. For context, I grew up in a very religious Muslim family and lived with my mother for 16 years. I'm glad we don't live in a Muslim country but in Europe because I could never identify with the religion and my culture. I was unhappy and my mother was very controlling. I wasn't allowed to go outside and meet friends unless I took my sister with me. Once my mom took away my phone for over a year because I had okay grades, talking about having a C in maths, and I got my ass whooped. Once she found out I was hugging a male friend, who was gay and not attracted to me, she lost her shit. I was around 12 or 13 around that time and that's when she started assuming I must be a whore. Since then, she doesn't trust me anymore. She thinks I'm fucking around with guys and doing drugs or something. I lived with my father for a few months when I was 16 to 17 until one day he locked me in, took away my electronics and my keys and the police was called. That's when I left. I'm 19 now, I have a job and live with my partner of 3 years. We have 2 kittens. I visit my mom like once every 2 weeks or so, and sometimes she has those episodes where she starts screaming and stuff. She still thinks I'm going to come back and she still tries to make me feel bad for leaving. Today my sister told me that my mother said she wished I would have died instead of me moving out because it would have been easier for her and she wouldn't have to worry about me whoring around. So yes, that made me really sad. I don't see myself as a disappointment, but her words make me think I am. Go on and have your nap, big man, I got you. Every day I take the same bus to work. It's a 45-minute bus ride. I don't mind it although I can't wait to have a car. A few stops after I get on, a guy gets on. Big dude, could easily be a linebacker in the NFL. Built like a brick shithouse. Does some sort of manual labor I assume from his uniform. Always looks tired as hell. Every day I see him run to the bus stop. He gets on, and it's 7 a.m. so he's exhausted. I am too but I usually have coffee to offset it. Every day he gets on, and walks to the back where I am. We make eye contact for half a second to acknowledge each other's existence, give a head nod as men do, and then he sits down somewhere near me, and falls asleep. For 45 minutes he sleeps there on the bus before his shift. I'm usually on my phone, but I'm looking over periodically making sure he isn't leaning too far to one side so he won't fall over. When we get to our stop, we just happen to get off at the same stop. I give him a tap on the shoulder to wake him up because it's time to get off, then go our separate ways. Every day Monday to Friday for like 3 months I've done this. I've never spoken a word to this man. So go on and get your extra 45 minutes of sleep in before work. I got you. I almost lost my relationship with my son. My late wife and I had our son when we were really young. We stuck together and were together until she died 4.5 years ago when my son was 14. It was devastating for me and for 2 years it was just the 2 of us. When he was 16 I met my now ex-girlfriend. She was the first person that had made me happy since my wife died. She told me that she was fine with me having a son, so I thought everything was fine. Because of that, I failed to see how horribly she treated him. It's fully my fault. I was more worried about me not feeling sad anymore than my son. I didn't truly realize what I had put my son through until he left the day after his 18th birthday and sent me a long message detailing everything. I spent the rest of the night crying before immediately breaking up with her. I gave him some space for a little while before messaging him and explaining how sorry I was and that I broke up with her and would like to meet up with him to apologize further, but I understood if he didn't want to do that. Thankfully he agreed. We had a long conversation where I apologized multiple times, making sure not to blame him for anything and letting him know that I want a relationship with him but will respect it if he doesn't want that. He told me that he wanted to, but slowly. We've been rebuilding our relationship over the past few months. I know it's going to take longer to fully restore it, but it's a start. Last night he came over and asked if he could move back in. I of course said yes and we hugged for the first time in a while. He's going to move back in a couple of days. I am very grateful that we've been able to rebuild our relationship. My son is all I have and I don't know if I'd be able to live with myself if I lost him too. I know that it's 100% my fault, which is why I'm so grateful that he's giving me a second chance. My husband is dead. My 26F husband, 29M, died on Wednesday. Yesterday would have been his 30th birthday, and my 27th is coming up on the 11th. We were together for 9 years, married for nearly 4. We have a 7-year-old son together. He collapsed in our kitchen, hit his head on the stove and fell face down. It took me several minutes to roll him onto his back because he was quite a bit larger than I. The 911 operator walked me through CPR, but I kept going too fast and I don't even think I did it hard enough. The paramedics came and took him to the hospital. Myself and his parents followed, and after an hour of waiting they told us he didn't make it. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to go through life without him being at least within reach by phone. My son is so deeply hurt, of course. He will be starting grief counseling through his school, and I guess I should go back to therapy again. I don't see how I am going to live the rest of my life without my person. Everybody says I'll be okay, but they all still have their spouses to fall into at the end of the day.